The next thing that we're going to do now is to create a PHP unit configuration file. So essentially, when we have a configuration file, when we start our test, it is going to first of all look for the configurations that we defined inside of that configuration file. If we don't have any, then it's just going to run the test that we have inside of the test folder. So we're going to create the configuration file in the root of our project. So take note, it's going to be in the root of the project, the same level with index. And we're going to name this file phpunit.sml. So this is going to be an XML file. So the configuration file will basically just allow us to define how we want to run things and also to create maybe some values that we'll need inside of our test suite. So I'm going to start the declaration of the XML file. So I could just inject the version here and then specify the encoding to be UTF-8. And then I'm going to start writing the XML file. So this is going to be PHPUnit. And then inside of this tag, we can have some really nice configuration to define how we want our PHP unit to work. So let's close this off. So the basic things that we can actually specify here is our bootstrap file for PHP unit. So the bootstrap file will basically tell it the things to do before it starts running the test. All right, so we can say bootstrap is equal to, and then we can specify to the path to our bootstrap file, which for now we don't really have a bootstrap file, but we can specify to the path to our autoloader. So that's inside of vendor. So what we can do is come inside of index, and this is our autoloader file. So we could just say vendor autoload.php. And if there is need later for us to add things to the bootstrap process, then we can actually extract this to a different file. All right, so we're going to add more. So just to give you an insight before I continue, if we come back again to the command line, and then I execute this command, but this time with the option ep. So once we do that, we can then see the various things that we can, various options that we can specify when running the test. So we are now dealing with configuration options. The one that I did just now is the bootstrap. So if we wanted to do it from the command line, we could say -- bootstrap and then specify the file. Okay, it's a PHP script that is included before the test run. Okay, so, and you can see that there are different other options that we can specify here. All right, so that was just an aside. Let's continue. So the next thing that I also want to do is to set the color option. So we can say color, so equal to true. So this way we can have nice colors when we run our test. And we can also tell PHPUnit to convert errors to exceptions, which is similar to what we are doing inside of our application. So we say convert errors to exceptions. And then we can set this to be equal to true. And then I'm going to duplicate this. So this will be convert warnings to exceptions. Right, and the last one will be convert notices to exceptions. So we set this to true. These are all optional parameters that we can set. And then one more that is really interesting is to stop on failure. So when we say stop on failure, it means that when there is a test that fails, PHPUnit should stop running. Otherwise, it's just going to keep running, and then in the end, it's going to tell you how many tests failed and how many tests passed, which is good in some cases, but in some cases, it's not good. If you are having a very large number of test cases in your test folder, then this is a good option. But for now, we can set it to false. So remember, as your test grows, then you want to know quickly when a test fails. You don't want everything to run to the end and then tells you there was one problem. All right, so that's just an aside too. And then we can come down here again and then specify another option, which is called test suites. So test suites will be the different categorization of our tests in the application. Remember here that I have two folders. One is unit and the other one is functional. So we're going to create a test suite for unit. So the name should be unit. Okay, so let's just say unit for unit test. And then inside of here, we can specify the directory. So the directory for this text suite. And then that will be test unit. Then we can duplicate this and then save functional or feature test functional. It should be the folder functional. All right, so I think we have some basic things that we need right now. We're just going to trigger the test again to see if everything still works as expected. Okay, so here we get a warning. The configuration file did not pass validation. The following problem has been detected. Attribute color is not allowed. So I think I must have missed something there. So it should be colors actually, not color. So let's fix that. Colors. Let's save it and then run it again. Okay, so the next one is test suite attribute name. The attribute name is not allowed. Okay, so let's see what went wrong there. So it should actually be test suite also. So I added an extra S here, so extra X here. Okay, so we're going to save and then run it again. All right, so we still have one that is not correct. Test suite element is not expected. Test result may not be expected. So let's see that. Let's look at the file again to see where we're doing something wrong. So the problem is we need to put the different test suites inside of a test suite tag. So we should have one here, which is actually correct what I did previously, test suites. And then we can now put our different test suite inside of this. All right, and then let's try to run it again. And now everything works as expected. And you can also see here that we now have color options here.